Episode 279, 3 Career Rules.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
And it's one day left to Exercise Friday. Welcome to the very best podcast in the world, your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. I think I've been smoking too much today. Anyhow, was it an illustrious day? I don't know. It was totally exciting in weird ways. I'm not going to go into too many details. But these 3 career rules came across, my screen the other day when I was taking a dump and scrolling through all of these wallet rapists groups and how to motivate people. And along came this little, meme, quote unquote, which kind of outlined 3 career rules which you should follow to be successful and to not become ethically and morally compromised in the process of being successful, because you do want to maintain that ethical standard because it just contributes significantly to your mental health and your happiness. Obviously, this is why we're going to go through these rules today, because reading through them, I immediately found myself in one or the other situation of turmoil, or my ethics radar going, holy shit, this ain't good. And that's why we're going to whisk through these very briefly to give you the moral high ground in pretty much any business situation if you adhere to these 3 rules. Before we whisk through them, we're going to go very briefly into our daily housekeeping. Item number 1 of which is, as always, sharing is caring, meaning that you should share this content so that your friends, family, followers, and folks, and whatever other Fs are in your social media channels don't fall victim to the wallet rapists. The wallet rapists being those people who present this very same content to you, but driving a Bentley. And the reason they're driving a Bentley or a Lambo or sitting in front of a private jet is because they're screwing you out of your money, because you can get the same content here for free. So, and not to be left broke and unmotivated and trying to dig yourself out of that situation, share this content to make it more prominent. Item number 2, views on my own, yada, yada, blah, don't reflect blah, 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 blah. And item number 3, episodes are a bit more concise because we're in the downward of the parable, renovating, whatever. The episodes are going to be a bit shorter for the foreseeable future. So, on our list of 3 career rules is at position 1, don't sell anything you wouldn't buy yourself. And for a lot of you immediately, this will seem like a no-brainer, right? You got this shitty product in your hand and you're supposed to sell it because your boss said so. Well, here's the problem. Your boss said so. So there's a certain amount of push that you have to be able to resist in not selling it, because you're not convinced by it. The product is crappy and and there's a lot of push that comes from outside forces, which will try to compromise your, shall we say, ethical guideline in life. And it's insanely important that you stand your ground and you tell whomever is the authority at play to kindly go fuck themselves, because there's a lot of people out there who cave in, right? Because they're desperate, because their boss told them, either you sell this or you walk, or you got to feed the family, right? And you got to close this deal. Otherwise, you're not going to get food on the table, right? And that's a moral balance act that you're going to have to perform for yourself. Now, if your boss tells you to, tell them to go fuck themselves. If you need to put food on the table for your family, look for alternatives, right? If somebody tells you to do something like that, which you don't want to do, don't do it, right? You're going to feel guilty and bad for the rest of your life. When I started out as a young Padawan, it was like, I was presented with so many shitty products that I just couldn't sell, and that's why in the financial sector, I don't want to say I wasn't successful. I was, but it took me a while to get my ethical radar on track, in order, and tuned in and fine-tuned, most importantly. And I left the products that I was supposed to sell, which weren't really convincing to me, laying in the shelf to rot, and focused on the other ones that didn't make as much money, probably commission-wise. I don't recall the details, but it was there were many situations where I told my higher-ups to please take their suitcase, their coffers with that quote unquote good product and shove it in there, what. And those are interesting reactions that I got from that, particularly because I was young, and they wouldn't really be able to contemplate why I would be doing this. Because, young people are usually morally rotten and easily manipulated. But I stood my ground always, except for, one or two occasions where I tried it out and I went to very critical customers and they took the product apart and kind of, confirmed my notion that my preconceived notion that the product was shit. And that was, the point where I just said, okay, look, put it in the drawer, keep it, take your suitcase, get the fuck out of here. Item number 2 is don't work for anyone you don't respect and admire. And again, this takes a little bit of aging and a little bit of people skills to figure out who you really respect and admire. Now, especially sales folks are, very admirable. They're very manipulative because they want to sell you something and they make money off of that. And as soon as you don't give them a fixed income, but only let them play with the commission money that they get, they're going to be very, very, very fucking motivated to sell you whatever they need, right? To get that new Mercedes and to get that tan and to get that impeccable suit that they're wearing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's easy to admire someone, but are they people that you necessarily want to respect? And I beg to differ, right? Because if you look behind the facade, you're usually going to see very broken people, very predatorial people, very competitive people. And while I'm not saying that it's bad to be competitive, if it's at the price of someone else, which in sales it usually always is, you're going to have a person that you just cannot respect because they will sell their grandma to I don't know who, to a carnivorous predator, if they can make a significant amount of money off of it. So it's both. It's this duality of respect and admiration that you need to have for, someone you're working under that will require that will be required for you to be comfortable working for and with them. Last but not least, we've got work only with people you enjoy. And this goes both ways, right? This is internal contacts within the organization that you're working, but also with customers, right? You should very quickly make yourself independent to a degree where you can, if a customer walks in and has, bizarre visions of what they want, but only a small, but only want to throw a tenth of the required budget at the problem, just tell them to get the fuck out and to buy it elsewhere, right? Because you're not going to have a good time. The client's going to be complaining anyhow because, at the end of the day, he wanted to pay a tenth of the budget. And at the end of the day, he's complaining about even that if you manage to deliver on that. So you should very quickly be in a position where you can tell clients like that to just walk out and, get on somebody else's nerves and balls, just take their business elsewhere. And from an internal organizational standpoint, you can't, or sometimes you can't really influence who you have to work with, right? So continue to be diplomatic and get out of those people's ways, because the people you work with, your coworkers, your peers, your, whomever you got to be with on a day-by-day basis. If you don't want to be with your spouse anymore because you made a mistake, you get a divorce, and the same should be true for your job, right? If you have to drag yourself out of bed because, Mr. or Mrs. Asshole is going to be there to make your life hell again, get out, right? There's, use your time to apply for a new job, start a side hustle, to become really independent. Go back to episode 40 on how to reach financial freedom. If you really want to get out of the 9-to-5 environment, if you're comfortable there, look for a new job. Maybe, you can transfer internally. That's another option. But make sure that you work only with people you enjoy being around. So just to recap really briefly, 1, don't sell anything you wouldn't buy yourself. 2, don't work for anyone or with anyone you don't respect and admire. And 3, last but not least, work only with people you enjoy. And in that sense, we're going to wrap today's episode up. Looking forward to tomorrow's exercise. We're going to talk about rivers, believe it or not. Have a good rest of your Thursday. And for those of you who've had your Thursday, have a good night. Leave your hands above the blanket. We'll be back in touch tomorrow for Exercise Friday. See you safe. Stay cool, whatever. Bye, folks. See you tomorrow.